Hello everyone and welcome back to Propway. So in this video, I'm going to show you guys how to make your very own Batman Grapple Gun that is shown in the new Batman movie with Robert Pattinson. And this grapple gun design is much different than the other movies because it is attached to his gauntlet and it slides up and he can shoot it just like that. And I know so many of you guys have been requesting a cardboard prop, so I finally got to build a cardboard grapple gun. But I did have some actual, real metal parts just to make it a little cooler. But I think it's still generally a very simple build, kinda. And I would like to thank Skillshare for sponsoring this video, and to all of my subscribers, old and new, thank you guys so much for your support. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please feel free to do so. I also have an Instagram and TikTok at Propway that you guys can follow. So before I get into the tutorial, I want to show you guys really quick all the cool features of this grapple gun. This grapple gun is attached to a gauntlet piece that I made, and this gauntlet is a very simplified version of what's in the actual movie. The main feature about this grapple gun is the fact that it is on a rail that can slide up and down, and as you can see, there are some magnets right down there that allow it to stay in place. So even if my arm is in the down position, it won't fall out. You can see you gotta pull the trigger to load it. And once it's locked into place, take it out of its rail. And I totally prematurely fired that, so make sure you guys don't point this at people's faces. So now that you guys have seen all the different features, let's get on with the tutorial. So here you can see I have some of the pattern already drawn out onto a sheet of cardboard, and all these templates are in the description below. So what you want to do is you want to cut out all these pieces, and this first part is going to be the handle. So here I just take some white school glue and put some glue on in between the layers and stack them up. And white school glue is great for cardboard. It really holds it really well once it's dried, although it does take a long time to dry, so you do have to be patient with that. So here is the handle. That's simple enough. Now we're going to work on the barrel of the grapple gun and pretty much the main body of the gun. So here I have these two sheets that I'm going to join together using this strip right here, and that is about 7/8 of an inch or 20 millimeters long. So here I just take some hot glue and I kind of just connect the two pieces with that little middle strip, and you can use super glue here. If you're patient, you can use white school glue, but I think hot glue has a lot of strength and dries fairly quickly. And now to connect the other side, I'm going to add some more hot glue. Be careful not to burn yourself. And you'll notice that this side has a hole cut out in it, and that is kind of going to be an access door to the inside. So now in these little ridges here, I'm going to put in some hot glue, and what that does is just gives it a little more strength. And especially with a prop like this that's going to be, having a lot of force held onto it, you want it to be as strong as possible. And now I'm just going to take some hot glue, and as you can see, I have that really hot just to make it a lot easier to work with. And I'm just going to glue that handle straight to the base of the gun. And when you're done, you should have something that looks like this. Now to work on the barrel of the grapple gun, I have this tube here that I had kind of just laying around. It's about 15 millimeters in diameter. You can use a different diameter, but that will also change kind of what spring size you use. So here I just cut that piece. And now I'm going to trace it out on a piece of cereal box cardboard. I'm going to cut that out. I'm going to take a hole puncher, and I'm just going to punch a hole right in the middle of that. So now I'm going to take some hot glue onto that piece, and I'm going to glue it right to the bottom of that tube. Just like that. I want to take some super glue and just reinforce that right on that seam there, and then also just kind of soak that piece in super glue just to harden it. Now once that's dry, as you can see here, I have a test piece with a spring and a dowel, and that is essentially what's gonna power the grapple gun. So here I'm gonna glue in this piece of cardboard, and this is just gonna be a support piece for that barrel. So as you can see, I just glue it in right into the front there. I'm gonna take the barrel and stick it into another identical piece. And I'm just going to insert that here. And now you have a barrel that is supported at 2 spots, so that should be nice and strong. Now for the actual grapple hook, I'm using this wooden dowel, which is about 5 millimeters in diameter. So here I'm taking a small strip of paper and I'm just gonna glue that right around. And basically what that does is it's gonna be a stop for the spring that we're gonna use. And I have a link to the spring in the description below. So you can see here, the dowel sticks through that hole at the bottom of the barrel, but the spring gets held back, and that is how it shoots. So now I'm going to take the grapple hook, and I'm going to cut out a little notch, just like this. And I just use an X-Acto knife to carve that out. And now just to make sure that doesn't crack or anything, we're going to take some super glue. And we're just gonna reinforce that joint right there. So here, I'm gonna be cutting out the trigger for the gun. And as you can see, there's 2 points here, and we're gonna be making a hole in those 2 points, and basically that's gonna be a hinge point for the trigger. So I just cut it out with 3 pieces of cardboard here. And I'm going to glue it together with some more white school glue. And once that's dry, I'm going to cut out a small piece of cardboard here and glue that straight to the back. And I'm going to reinforce it with some hot glue on this side. And you'll see that this is basically a catch for the grapple hook. And here I'm just reinforcing that with some super glue. So now you can see that once you insert this hook, that little notch should be kind of facing towards the bottom, and it'll catch on to that little cardboard piece on the trigger. And that's what kind of holds back that hook, and when you release it, it should shoot out. So now working on the trigger mechanism some more, I'm just gonna take this, pretty much it's a barbecue skewer, and I just stick it straight through the trigger, through that hinge point, and I trim the edges, and just reinforce that with some super glue here. And now I take this thinner skewer and I'm just going to poke that through the trigger straight through like this. And you want to trim it off and leave maybe a centimeter on either end. And the purpose of this is you are going to attach a rubber band to it. And you want to thread that rubber band around the barrel and back down the sides of it, just like this. And this allows the trigger to return after you press it. So you can push it back and the rubber band just pulls it back up. But the problem here was that the rubber band wasn't strong enough to hold the force of the spring. So as soon as I let go of that trigger, it kind of just released on its own. You'll see right here, which is not what you want. So I replaced that rubber band with a couple stronger rubber bands, and now it can actually hold that force. And once you push the trigger, it'll actually shoot out. So now to cover up all of those internals, I'm just going to take some of this poster board and glue it right along the edges of the grapple gun. And that'll hide all of, the ridges of the cardboard and just kind of make it look a little cleaner. So once you're done, you should have something that looks like this. And before we paint it, I'm going to throw on this Mod Podge just to give it a sealing coat and kind of fill in some of those crevices. So here I just layer it on to the entire grapple gun. So now I'm going to use some of this black acrylic paint just to paint the entire gun black again. And here you can see I forgot to add some of these details, so I just added it on and painted it afterwards. Okay, so the gun part of this build is pretty much finished now, and as you can see, we have a working trigger. So now we are going to work on the actual hook. So all I'm going to do is take this wooden stick and dowel thing, and I want to be gluing these cardboard pieces onto it to get, you know, the actual parts of the hook like that. And there's going to be 3 pieces. And I'm just going to hot glue it all around and then paint it silver, and it'll actually look like a real grappling hook. So let's do that part. So here I'm just taking some hot glue and I'm just gonna layer it on to one side of that dowel. And I just take that cardboard hook and I just hold it onto that until it dries. And I do it for all 3 pieces here. And now you should have a grapple hook that looks like this. And when you paint it silver, it actually looks a little better. And here's just another little test run. So here I just attached a string to the hook with some hot glue and some super glue. And I'm going to thread that through the barrel, and I'm going to end up just gluing that on the inside of the gun. Now before we get on with the gauntlet build, I would like to tell you about today's sponsor, Skillshare. You've probably already heard about it, but in case you haven't, Skillshare is an online learning community with thousands of inspiring classes for anyone and everyone. If you've been wanting to learn a new hobby or improve on your skills, Skillshare was definitely made for you. I joined Skillshare because I really wanted to improve my video quality, especially because I only use an iPhone. And after browsing Skillshare's classes, I found dozens of videos dedicated to iPhone filmmaking. This class, taught by Chris Brooker, called Film Better Videos on Your Phone, immediately helped me by sharing extremely helpful tips on lighting.
In this episode, we're talking about lighting. You could have the best camera that money can buy, but if your lighting is bad, then the video is going to be bad.
Now, whether you're interested in art, filmmaking, photography, music, business, and so much more, you'll find just what you need at Skillshare. Using the link in the description below, you will get a free trial of Skillshare, which includes ad-free courses and new classes launched every week. So what are you waiting for? Try Skillshare today. So for the gauntlet, I'm just using this 5mm thick EVA foam, and I cut out these 2 sheets that look like this. And basically these are going to sit around my arm. And here you can see I attached some black elastic to it. Basically I just cut out some slits into the sides of the foam and kind of just threaded it through and hot glued it. So here you can see that this is going to sit around my arm just like this. And now to get that extending and retracting motion, I used this linear rail, which I bought off Amazon. And here you can see I tried using hot glue, which I wasn't using my brain because obviously hot glue won't stick to smooth metals very well, which is why I left those marks there and I pulled it off. So I'm just taking a sanding block and I'm going to sand down that metal. And basically the way we're going to connect it is using contact cement. And I was just testing this out, not sure if it was going to work, but contact cement works very well with metals too. So I put some contact cement on this side, and then I add it onto the EVA foam side. And once you give it a minute to dry off a little bit, you can connect the 2 pieces. And once those are held in place, it should stick very well. And here I'm just testing out the rail, making sure it still goes smooth. So now to attach the gun to the rail, I'm going to use this bracket. So now to attach the gun to the rail, I'm just going to use this bracket that I'm going to screw in to that little platform right here, and then I'm going to screw the other end into the gun. And now I just thread that in with some M3 screws, or whatever screw size is on your linear rail. And on the end of the rail, you can see I super glued in some magnets, which holds it into place. And once you release it, it should slide freely, or it can snap back into the magnets. And to close off that hole in the side of the gun, here you can see I just glued a circular piece of foam to a black piece of poster board. And basically that should just press fit right into the side door, just like this. And when you're finished, you should have a grapple gun that looks like this. So if you watch the clip from the actual movie of when he shoots it, you see a little bit of smoke come out. So what I did was I put a little bit of baby powder inside the barrel, and hopefully when I shoot it, it looks like a little puff of smoke. So let's try it out. And as you can see from that clip, it looks like it actually worked well. So if you guys need a small practical smoke effect, baby powder is the way to go. Thank you guys so much for watching that tutorial, and as always, I hope you guys learned something new. This grapple gun was definitely a challenge to design and build, but now that I've done a tutorial for you guys, it should be very simple for you. And of course, as always, if you guys run into any troubles with it, feel free to leave a comment below and I will do my best to respond. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye. If you're interested in watching more Batman tutorials, check out my other video where I show you how to make the Batman cowl from the new movie, The Batman. And also, congratulations to all my followers on Instagram that correctly guessed what I was building next. Thanks for watching.